Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk. Let's get straight to the docket. First, has the district attorney's decision to seek the ultimate punishment against Chad Daybell sunk in? Next on the docket, Amber Geiger, former police officer. Remember her? She was convicted in regards to the death of Botham Jean. Well, there's been an appellate decision. A state senator has been arrested. What could you possibly imagine the allegations might be? Video of a smash and grab. This video may describe the state of America today, complete lawlessness. Let me know. And then finally, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reisch, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased, true crime channel. Now, if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button as well as that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. All right, we brought it to you yesterday afternoon. The state of Idaho has decided to seek the ultimate punishment against Chad Daybell. The prosecution filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty in regards to the allegations related to the death of Tylee Ryan, J.J. Vallow, and Tammy Daybell. The district attorney cited the statutory requirements for the death penalty in Idaho, specifically saying that the crimes were especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, that there was a complete disregard for human life, and the fact that the crimes involved remuneration, that they were done for money, right? The insurance money, the Social Security money, all that goes into play. Now, obviously, Lori Vallow has not been charged. Well, she hasn't been given an opportunity to enter a plea of not guilty, so that has not triggered anything in regards to seeking the death penalty as it relates to Lori Vallow. One would think if they're going to go after Chad Daybell, they would do the same for her if and when she is restored to competency. Now, a lot of people in the comments said, Scott, I was surprised that you were surprised. Well, let me tell you why. When there's allegations of mental health concerns, it usually is a huge mitigating factor when it comes to the death penalty. What comes to mind, for example, is the James Holmes shooting that took place here in Colorado, where there were, I believe, 12 deceased. And guess what? The jury did not convict as it related to the death penalty. They did not impose it. They convicted him, found him guilty of all the heinous things he did, but they didn't impose the ultimate punishment. I personally have had cases where they didn't go death on a case that I was representing, where we had 3 victims and a horrific sexual assault before the deaths all took place. So somebody was quite offended in the comments that said, I can't believe, Scott, that you wouldn't be offended by this, and are you that callous? No, I'm just being realistic as possible. When you have a defendant that really has had no criminal history, it's kind of tough to pitch to a jury that they deserve the ultimate punishment. Yes, I understand there's children involved. Yes, I understand this weirdness that's going on, but if there's mental health issues, it's going to be somewhat difficult. We will see. Now, the other issue that I wanted to talk about as it relates to this matter is, I mentioned yesterday, I would expect a further delay. Now, one of the things that we've talked about this before just briefly is when you go death, there are certain standards, and the ABA and their guidelines, but in the state of Idaho, they have adopted the ABA guidelines as it relates to the performance standards of capital counsel qualifications. All right. The ABA recommends, and like I said, the state of Idaho has recommended these guidelines, particularly as it relates to their public defender's office, but I think it carries true, right? These are standards that people are saying should be met. Guess what? If there's a conviction and these standards aren't met, raises really good issues for post-conviction relief. So the big one, the defense team. 1, the defense shall consist of no fewer than 2 attorneys qualified in accordance with these standards. The defense shall contain at least one member qualified by training and experience to screen individuals for the presence of mental or psychological disorders or impairment. In a case in which the death penalty may be imposed, at the first court appearance after a crime in which the death notice would be filed is charged, 2 qualified defendant attorneys should be appointed to represent an indigent defendant. Now, the question becomes, Chad Daybell is in custody. He's technically indigent. He would easily qualify for the public defender. John Pryor, his attorney, needs to take a look at his qualifications and remove himself from the ego, the high-profile nature of this case, and say, hey, am I really qualified to do this case? I took a quick look at Mr. Pryor's website today. He says he does general misdemeanors and felonies, and he has, many years of experience. And I'm assuming he has at least 10 felony trials, which is kind of their guidelines here. But I don't think that he's ever done a death penalty case. And normally, they like to have the professionals at least co-counsel one before they are a lead chair on the case. The defense team should have at least one mitigation specialist and one fact investigator. What does that mean? 2 investigators. It's already getting expensive because now you got 2 attorneys, one qualified to look into mental health issues, and 2 investigators. At least one member qualified by training experience, screen individuals for the presence of mental or psychological disorders, and any other member needed to provide a zealous and effective representation. Sounds expensive. The attorney that's going to represent somebody in a death penalty case under these ABA guidelines, which have been adopted by Idaho, is obviously have relevant experience and training as it relates to the death penalty. They're saying at least 10 years litigation experience, 10 felony jury trials in which they have been either the lead counsel or co-counsel in which the death penalty might have been imposed. So they're looking at saying, hey, do you have at least 10 jury trials where basically it was a capital case, homicide case? The attorney must have demonstrated necessary proficiency and commitment to exemplify the quality of representation appropriate in a capital case. This is what they're talking about. You have to have skills related to advocacy, fingerprints, ballistics, forensic pathology, DNA evidence, computers. You need to have an experience in that as well. And then the co-counsel has to have at least 5 trials that would qualify for a death penalty case, i.e. a homicide case where the death penalty could have been imposed. Additionally, they're going to say that there needs to be a lead appellate and post-conviction counsel already assembled so that they can look into what they need to do afterwards. Because oftentimes in a death penalty case, you don't do all the appeals. You basically throw a 35C into it here to the lower court so it can all be litigated now by the appellate courts. So a lot of big changes, I think, are coming their way. I think John Pryor needs to take a look at himself and say, hey, am I qualified for this? Am I going to do my client a disfavor if I don't have the resources? Because this is now a full-time job. If it wasn't already a full-time job, it certainly will be. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts, but I think it's maybe time. New counsel coming in. I would be very surprised if we had a trial in December like we were anticipating. All right, next on the docket, Amber Geiger. Remember her? That's right, the former Dallas police officer who was accused of and ultimately convicted of killing Botham Jean, who lived in the same apartment complex. Ms. Geiger's theory at trial was that the apartments are so similar, I was confused, and therefore I went into Mr. Jean's apartment on the different floor than her apartment and saw this man in there, and then ultimately shot Mr. Jean because she thought that she was basically in fear for her life. Well, a jury rejected that, and now the appellate courts have rejected that as well. And Amber Geiger will continue to serve her 10-year prison sentence because her 2019 conviction is now affirmed. Now, she can ultimately appeal to another higher court from the Court of Appeals in Texas, but unlikely. The Court of Appeals, in a 29-page decision, basically said, hey, the issue here of whether it was murder or criminally negligence, well, the jury decided that fact, and guess what? The jury had sufficient evidence to decide that way. simply because, well, Amber Geiger's testimony where she stated it was her intent to kill Mr. Gene. That's what trials are for, ladies and gentlemen. They decide questions of fact. Didn't quite go well for Miss Geiger, and now she will remain in custody. Just shows you how quickly one's life can change. Speaking of life changes, there is an Arizona state senator who may have some life changes coming his way. It is alleged that Arizona State Senator Tony Navarrete has been arrested on suspicion of sexual conduct with a child and faces multiple charges. Now, Navarrete is 35 years old, and oftentimes we get told, oh my gosh, how can you always mention a political party's membership? And people say, oh, you said this only because he was a Democrat. Oh, you said it only because he was a Republican. Don't really care, think they're all pretty much corrupt. And, well, in this particular case, Mr. Navarrete is a Democrat, and I guess I'm a little surprised because, usually there's a lot of Republicans that have little sex scandals. But I don't think there's one side or the other. I think they're all pretty much, neck and neck when it comes to the statistics as to who's going to get in trouble. It is alleged that on August 4th, of 2021, so just the other day, the Phoenix Police Department received a report of sexual conduct with a minor that occurred back in 2019. The detectives interviewed the juvenile victim and other related witnesses, and on August 5th, they developed enough for an arrest warrant. That's right, probable cause. And the suspect was arrested and is currently in the process of being booked. That's right, the good state senator. Obviously, we'll have to give the state senator the presumption of innocence like we do with everyone unless they have pled guilty or been convicted at trial. So we'll see what happens. Certainly not a good career move unless, of course, maybe you want to run for governor in New York. Please go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did. Next on the docket, take a look at this video. Gives new meaning to the words smash and grab. Don't just say, give me the money anymore. Take the whole cash register. Take a look at these guys. Wow. All right, next on the docket, maybe this describes America today. Complete lawlessness. Take a look at this. Delilah Johnson, 42, was shot as she stood outside of what appears to be a restaurant when a woman gets out of a very nice car, nonchalantly double parks, gets out, walks up to Miss Johnson, and shoots her in the head. Now, Miss Johnson ultimately passed away. The police have no suspects, but they have this video. I think we're going to have to pause it right before the actual shooting because we don't want to get, taken down by YouTube. Frank's going to use his best judgment as to when to pause it, or maybe just use a quick screenshot of the suspect. But if anybody has information, they should call the New York Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-8477. And finally, that brings us to our dumb criminal contestant of the day. And then we'll do our quick recap of our contestants throughout the week. Take a look at this guy, our dumb criminal contestant of the day, James Len Williams. He has been charged with multiple counts of battery and aggravated assault. Well, what could he possibly have done? He went on a vacation with some friends, a man and two other women. Apparently a fight ensued. One of the women apparently got passed out and somebody put her in a wheelbarrow, whereupon our dumb criminal contestant of the day began to pour beer on the woman in the wheelbarrow. The other man became upset and said it was disrespectful, where a fight began. And our dumb criminal contestant, that's right, bit off the ear of his friend that he was vacationing with. You may ask, well, why is he our dumb criminal contestant of the day? Is it because he got in a fight? No. Is it because there was alcohol? No. The fact that he bit off a man's ear who was his friend. So a lovely vacation turned into a drunk fest and now felony charges where more than likely he is going to prison. Wow. Do you think it was worth it? Somehow, I think not. All right, let's do a quick recap of our dumb criminal contestants throughout the week. And here we go. Monday, Melissa DeCoria tried to cash a check from a company called the Idaho Pacific Holdings. Problem was, well, it was a fake check. She ultimately agreed that she was to receive $50 in cash for cashing for a friend. Stephanie Llanes and her boyfriend, Adolfo Rivera, were eating dinner when an argument ensued and turned violent. They shoved spaghetti plates at each other and ultimately on others' faces, and the police were called. They were each arrested for domestic battery. Then we had a doubleheader that day. Maxwell Berry, 22, ordered too many drinks on a flight, causing a scene on a Frontier flight. This has been big news, but I think we brought it to you first. Ultimately, he groped the flight attendants and had to be duct taped to the seat. Wednesday, Lamont Walker was trying to rob a Walgreens, but there was no cash, so he fled the store, throwing the gun onto the roof of the building, only to be captured on video of him showing the gun. Stupid. And Kevin Van Leuven, the dumb criminal winner and home inspector who has forced himself to do a Tickle Me Elmo doll, has now asked the judge to throw out his written confession. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our dumb criminal contestants of the week. Who is the dumb criminal contestant winner of the week? Let us know. Vote. We'll announce the winner next week. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Crime Talk.